Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call the June 17, 2019 City of Benton Harbor Commission meeting to order. I'd like to begin with invocation. Commissioner Harrelson, led by City Manager Watson, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for your kindness and love and mercy. Thank you for everyone that's here on tonight. Bless them in a special way. Bless the meeting on tonight. This we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Here.
Commissioner Henderson. Here. Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present.
Governor President.
Is there a motion for the approval of the regular minutes of June 3, 2019? Motion made by Commissioner Harrelson and supported by Commissioner Isom. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yeah.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson. Yes. Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried, Governor.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Henderson. This opens discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
This. One of one. It started off confusing, and I asked the question once before, why can't we get those line items lined up like that all the time when it comes to the stipends? But, approval of a protection system. Is this a monthly payment and is it subject to change?
Which one is that?
Okay, the approved protection system? We can move on. B and Z, there are two payments, one for $2,892.17 and $636,132.
Commissioner Adams, there are two in there. One is part of the lead grant, the $6,132.50. It's part of the lead grant that was again approved by the commission from the state of Michigan related to exploration and remediation of any lead services. The other one is an emergency repair on Highland, which was for the the remainder of at the corner of Nolan and Highland.
The remainder?
Yeah, where they had to go back and put in there was work that got finished up at that corner. I do believe that's what it was.
Was there something most recently?
Without having the actual document in front of me, I'm thinking that's what it is, but
Can you
again.
send it to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, question about the joint sewage payment.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that most of the time it's 40-something thousand. Does that change monthly,
ma'am.
or it doesn't?
Yes, ma'am. It depends on flows.
And Bittner and Jennings, 3,480.75. We asked for updates, and it would have been nice if we had gotten one prior to this payment.
So that is part of what's on the agenda. If you looked at the agenda for
Yes.
the Personnel Finance Committee.
Payment before update?
So when the buildings come in, they don't come in like one a month, once every month. It depends upon the cycle of what we have for meetings and what gets submitted. So this, again, could be cumulative of several of them. Again, that's why we'll go over them again on Wednesday.
Okay, there's another firm that I'll get to, but Cycle and Fitness, what is that? 176.
Director Clark, Deputy Director Clark.
That was for some repairs to the police bicycles.
Is that Elkhorn Engineering? We deal with another engineering company?
Elkhorn Engineering is an engineering company that the state of Michigan sent to us in regards to work that we had to do out at the water plant for the polyphosphate that had to be added to the water. Yeah.
F&P operations, 11,661.
That is the monies, that is the gentleman who is, that the commission approved for the distribution form. Yes, ma'am.
Ferguson Waterworks, what is that?
Ferguson is a vendor that we use, and this is, I believe, sanitary sewer chains and pin shackles, which is that we use for work that's done in the field.
Okay, there's two payments. Their lawn services, 8,720,
Mhm.
and another 8,560.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just two services. There's some others listed, but they're much smaller.
Mhm.
Why are these payments so much higher? We haven't had that much rain.
So if you look at these, and again, these are multiple payments. They're not just for 1 month.
Oh, okay,
They are for multiple payments, yes, ma'am.
okay.
Mr. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. For the 17082, it says more in the city lots from 5/20 to 5/23/2019 for $8,000.
That is, again, that is a typo, Commissioner. That, for 3 days, that would not be that high.
Thank you. Also, I'm saying that we have an employee being paid like a contractor. Have we cleared up that by resolution? Or are we gonna continue to do it? No other employee that is under the city commission listed for payment. And we gonna continue to pay as a contractor. Can we not put forth legislation to the legislative or the personnel and finance to hire the said individual as the contractor instead of saying it's an employee and we're paying it as a contractor? Lastly, we just hired a building official. How much is that building official being paid per percentage of say for instance, if he goes on a job and requires $100,000, does he get 80% of it?
That is correct, sir.
He gets 80% of, he's getting 80% of the bid work. And we got a project that's getting ready to come to the city that's gonna put for probably about $3 or $4 million into a building. And if they had, say for instance, 10% of that, so you're telling me this said individual would get 80% of the, what's the word, keyword I'm looking for?
For the permit
The
fee.
permit fee.
Correct. That is correct.
So you got a multi-million-dollar project, this individual will get 80% of the building permit fee.
And that's based on the approved, fee schedule that was approved by this commission at some time ago.
How long ago was that, Honorable Mayor? You Chair?
How long ago was what?
Was that approved? Because I never remember approving somebody getting 80% of multi-million dollars in permit fees. Last I knew, we had an employee in that filling that position. And if we're gonna do it like that, Honorable Mayor, I do think that it behooves us to, again, like most of these individuals that have contracts that we really probably don't know too much about, probably the first time I've heard about that one. We need to renegotiate. If somebody's gonna pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in permit fees, and we only get 20%, and the outside entities getting 80%, I think we're kicking ourselves in the foot, that we'll be the first ones when the state come in and saying we need more money to figure out that there's money that we could have garnered. So why are we paying them 80%? And can we get that in writing somewhere where we agreed to pay them 80% of all building permits? Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. I will provide that to you, Commissioner. One of the things that you have to realize is that the state of Michigan says that building fees go to take care of building activities. So what you do, either you're going to pay a person who ends up paying, you pay them plus their fringes, or you're going to pay a contractor. It's one or the other. But I will get that information to you.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do appreciate the explanation, but my problem becomes if we had to set individual in-house and 80% of, let's say 80% of 100,000, make these roads gonna pay tithes, is $80,000. So if an individual's paying $100,000 for a permit, we're giving this individual $80,000 and we're only getting $20,000. If it was in-house, we would not be paying that same set amount towards an employee, probably paying the same individual, probably that per year. So it's kind of hard for me to fathom us going through this phase where we got medical marijuana coming in, we have all these other projects coming in, and we're going to be giving 80% of all building permits to this said individual instead of being proactive, instead of being reactive, and hiring an individual to do it or getting our people trained to the point to where they can do it. But I refuse to see a check going out of here for $80,000 or $90,000 for 1 month for one individual when everybody in Ben Harbor say everybody in Ben Harbor needs more money. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Mr. Manager, inquire. So if a permit was pulled, and what would be the fees for a development, say, the Pipestone development for the apartments? What would the, just a ballpark, the professional assessment?
It's based on the fee schedule. I believe it's right around $5,000 that the permit fee would be. So you have to pull that, like I said, have to get that chart.
So the permit fee for this current apartment would be about $5,000.
That is correct, sir.
And then that inspector would get
80% of that. Yes, sir.
5,000.
Correct.
So if it's say $10 million,
It's going to be around about $7,000 a permit fee. Again, like I said, the permits are based on the value of the project, broken down by category. Again, that permit fee is for the review of the plans, that's for the re-inspection of whatever of work that goes on. It's not just a one-time deal. They are performing duties that go along with the monies that they're making. So they're not just getting the money just because it's a permit. They're getting the money because they're performing work that goes along with that permit.
and what would you say, ballpark, this inspector would make, just on looking at the average permit fees and et cetera, et cetera? what kind of salary
Would they make based on the
contracted?
on the projects or
That's a
based on
projection.
or based on just? They're gonna probably he's gonna probably be 40,000 ish, 50,000 ish based on what he does, because you don't have major projects going on all the time. The majority of the work that he's doing is site plan work. He's reviewing and going out and making sure buildings are construction stuff. So he's not making every month $5,000-6,000 every month. It depends on the cycle of building. So if there is building that goes on, he will make more money. If there isn't, he's not making any money. So he's not just making money because he's here. He's only making money when there's work to be done.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. When I first heard the news that we had a new inspector, I do believe I asked the mayor, city manager for a contract and a resume. Never received it. So I'm gonna ask for that right now. Again, to have that contract that was given to him, and his resume. Do I get it?
I don't have it right now.
But can I have it?
You can get it. We will discuss it at the Personnel and Finance Committee. Yes, ma'am.
No, that's not what I asked for, to discuss it. I asked for you to give it to me over a month ago. I asked for you to give it to me. And I'm asking you again, will you give it to me?
I will get that contract to you, Commissioner.
And while you're at it, just send it to the rest of the commissions too, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Lastly, Mayor, I would like to know, being that, you know, these permits are so frivolous cost, what did he do to make $5,197 one? Probably about a 20-day period. If he's only getting short amounts of money, that small amount, then I need to know, and for henceforth, I think we need a breakdown of what he's doing, because hard for me to believe that roof costs $7,000 when we didn't get it paid. I know for a fact that you have to pay about $700 for a permit for a roof for $7,000, and you have to remodel the whole building, the structure, and you only pay $300 or $400. That's kind of, again, you know, I don't like throwing out numbers. I think we need to get this in black and white, because again, if somebody's getting ready to develop multi-million-dollar building, which is going to have multi-million-dollar developments all coming through this area, and if he's getting 80% of all building permits, it's going to be a problem. We need to make sure that we keep as much money as we can in-house. It's easy to spend money when it's not your money. So, I mean, I just would like to know, again, the contract. When did we vote and say that the building official gets 80% of the building permit? And I would love to get a breakdown of pretty much everything that we're paying for. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Duly noted, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Two questions. Is this the same official that gets paid from the community block grant dollars?
No.
Okay. And 70,936, 102, 12,508.
What's the number you finished? I'm sorry.
7936.
That is a fire escrow payment. What happens in a fire escrow payment is if there is a fire and the person has insurance, the insurance company gives the city money an equivalent of what they come out and do their adjusting. Once the building is repaired, that money is then released to the owner, and that is the owner of that facility.
Can we get a list of the homes that in Benton Harbor that are in escrow?
You can get, yeah, fire
Sent to all,
escrow.
sent to the full body, please. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams. No. Commissioner Henry.
No.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Isa.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem T.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Commissioner Yarborough, County Commissioner Yarborough is not with us tonight. She'll be giving her report as scheduled next month. This brings us to citizens' comments or public participation. Please register with the city clerk if you'd like to participate.
Mr. Michael Ward.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, guests, staff. I'm here in regards to this coming up Friday, June 21st, is summer solstice. It's the Benton Harbor Art Hop. The Benton Harbor Historical Preservation Society has been working with the Benton Harbor Downtown Development Authority on a project called the Benton Harbor Narrative Project. The Benton Harbor Narrative Project is a 20-year scope of what has actually taken place in the Downtown Arts District. There will be an exhibit that is going to be posted at the Blue Shipping Container. They'll be there from, let's see, the 21st all the way to July 12th. It's a short window of time. This is just a narrative. This is just a synopsis of what we're looking to do with the historical district that we're working on right now to make Benton Harbor Historical District, historical places, historical markers, and things of that nature. This is just a kickoff to what we're looking to do. There will be a book that's going to be published that's going to put together the whole story of the Benton Harbor art community, how that took place. We're also looking, this is a 3, 5, 8-year course that we're going to be working on. At one point, we're looking to have an app that you can go to where you can do a walking tour of the downtown historical district of Benton Harbor. We're looking at one time, about 3 years into this, there will be some really beautiful plexiglass murals that you can actually see what was there before and where you're at today, as you can do a walking tour of the downtown art district. There'll be a couple lectures that will come out of this. This is a template that is going to be helping establish the Main Street initiative that the downtown district is working on. And this is again taking place this coming up Friday, summer solstice, down at the corner of 5th and Territorial. There's a lot of new venues that are coming on for the art hop this time. There's it's just going to be a really great thing to see the community come out and see what's going on in the art district right now. There's a lot of great things that are happening, and we have a Facebook page. We're going to do some honorees for some of the first volunteers and pioneers that are in the art district, so we're going to honor them. And this is again, you can go to the Benton Harbor Narrative Project Facebook page and see what's going on and how we're putting this together. Thank you.
Ms. Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say we had such a wonderful time this weekend. Such a beautiful turnout. And thanks to all of you that showed up, helped work on putting the parade together. And it's just one of the many things to come. I feel very comfortable and I feel good, so I'm in a comfortable spot now. And I can smile, sometimes staying up late at night, working in the garden and other things. That God has shown favor. So I thank God for all of his favors that he has smiled upon me and given me. And there's people from many parts of other communities has come out and supported me. I'd like to thank this beautiful young man over here, Chief McGinnis. You did such a wonderful job. I mean, from beginning to the end, he did a beautiful job. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And he says he's going to work closer with us from the ones to come.
Next year, let's get going.
Thank God for that. And thank you, all of you, Ms. Swanigan back here and many others that came out and just worked. My son here. It's just wonderful. And Ron, thank you. And Mr. Isom, thank you. He shows up at most things that's going on. And that's what it's going to take for us to put aside whatever it is, participate, and try to build Benton Harbor rather than tear it down. I see many things that I will see to be built, and I try to do my best in not hindering the building of it. And that's for our inner city, for our people that are there, that has been there all the time. And we've got to work towards making things better for the residents that are there now, instead of depending on new development and everything else. There's nothing wrong with new development, but we've got to really appreciate the ones that are there now. Our schools are having a serious problem. Many times I spoke about this, and no one paid that close attention. Now that it is festered to what it is now, we've got to really work hard. But you know, it says in all our ways to acknowledge the Lord, and He will direct your path. We need God's direction in however we go about and getting this issue solved. So I'm asking everyone to put all the energy that you can to save our babies. I always express, our babies need us. They need us to stand up for them. And I try to do that day and night. I wake up with Benton Harbor on my mind. I go to bed with it on my mind because I love Benton Harbor and I love its people. So, thank you.
Mr. Marvin Haywood.
Good evening to all in attendance. Once again, we have to go back to what I told y'all quite a while about power. 3 forms of power: power over, power to, and power with. And if by chance we don't understand the forms of power, sometimes we can allow things to have power over us instead of having power with the people. And as you sit in those seats, you have powers to make decisions that affect the lives of people that are very dependent on you to make very conscious decisions. As I come here many nights and I listen to the budget, you know, common sense don't cost a quarter. And if it's too much content, it becomes a con. And when you have stewards over your money, you have to make sure that the right decisions are being made. And I understand that sometimes we can be in economic situations where we have to make certain decisions to where we can keep others out of our homes or whatever you want to call it. And so I say that to say this. You have the power to make decisions that will affect and create a better inner city for the inner city of Benton Harbor. But we have to understand the key in the language when a lot of things come through here. And I talk about the resolutions, the zonings, and various other things. We don't have an understanding of them. We vote for them, not understanding, have the full understanding of them. At the time that you may vote on one thing. By the time you get the edited version, it can turn into something different. And that's been facts. It's been a proven history. And so we have to be mindful and have an understanding of what is instead of what seems to be. Because a lot of times we get caught up in a show and we lose reality. And when you lose reality, you begin to lose sight of the big picture. And I say that because we're in trying times right now. And if the right decisions are made, it could help the inner city. You know, because as you say, we got developments and stuff that's coming in. And at the end of the day, what will it render unto the city? How is it that you can allow people to come into your house and say, well, give me your sink, your stove, and everything in your house, and I might give you something on the back end? You know, it just doesn't make sense. And we can see from the harbor shores where the taxes for those properties, those $500,000 homes going to St. Joe. But they sit on Benton Harbor property. And so these decisions have been continuing to be made, and they said, if you continue to complete the same mistakes and don't learn from history, that's called insanity. You know, I don't know if, you know, you all are beholden, and I go back to power. If somebody got power over you, I can understand it. But if you got power with the people, you have to let the people decide. Thank you.
Mr. Nora Adams.
Okay, good evening. It's really a blessing and honor to be here, and I want to thank the mayor, the commissioners, the city clerk, and everybody for working hard with the Peace for Life organization for this moment right here. There is an item on the calendar, and it says adopt the resolution supporting the Fresh Start petition. Hopefully it won't take much to change that word petition to resolution. It's a Fresh Start resolution that we've requested you all to adopt. And I believe that we're all of the same mind on this issue. We all may have disagreements on hows and who's, but in regards to keeping our high school open, I would think that that's not even an issue for argument. I think it's time for us to start having a shift in conversation instead of talking about what they think we owe the state, into looking at the policies that have rendered us in this space and start having conversations about what the state owes us because of their failed policies that we have been forced to acknowledge over the past 30 years. And so in this space, we have an opportunity to stand united with the Benton Harbor Area School Board, who unanimously agreed on this resolution. We have a state representative who's just recently been endorsed by the Attorney General, who also wrote a letter in support of this Fresh Start resolution as well. And so it only makes sense that our city stands united as well, because we have an opportunity to not just say, hey, you did us wrong, but hey, this is what you need to do. This is what we can do together to make it right. And so I'm really proud of this resolution, and I did send everybody a copy. Hope you had an opportunity to read through it. And this is just an exciting moment for us to stand united with the city and the school. And so just want to thank you. And I'm here if anybody had any questions about it. Thank you.
Pastor Stephen report.
Thank you. Mayor, city managers, commissioners, all of those that are present. Real short, trying to be short. Three things on my mind. Number one is, and I talked to the city manager about this, and it's signing. No parking signing throughout a city. Everyone, I believe, know about the conditions on Ogden, but not just Ogden, but also Superior. We have individuals parking in yards, cross yards, in the streets, and they have no regards for any properties or any other individual. So if we could get signing, if we know the signing need to be put there, can we get the signings there? And so, because I did talk to a few officers, they cannot enforce anything unless they're signing there. So to help them, to help the city, if we can get the signings that we do know, then I would greatly appreciate that. That's number one. Number two, I'm pretty sure this has probably been addressed, but let me address it again. We have massive
potholes. My car is tore up. I got 2 cars. Actually, I got 3 cars. My daughter driving one, my wife driving one, and I refuse to give up mine. So, potholes. If somehow or another we could get scheduled for, and all it takes is a 2-man crew. If you pay me minimum wage, give me a shovel, give me a truck, I'll be glad to do it. But we need to get the potholes situated in our city. So if we can get those, get that addressed, I would really appreciate it. Thirdly but not least, I had the opportunity to go to Lansing, and I must say that our mayor did an excellent job. I commend him on the job that he did while he was there. I believe that we have an outstanding individual for this time, for this moment, and I just want to let the citizens know, and also the commissioners know, that he stood in the gap, and I was extremely proud of how our mayor addressed the situation concerning our city and concerning our school district. So with that being said, thank you.
Mr. James Duncan?
My main concern was why we didn't have 5G, the dangers of 5G being mentioned in this meeting in any kind of a way. My other question was, will there be some kind of buoys put out this year? I'm asking questions because I don't have any other way of getting answers, and when I come here, it seems like I might get an answer, and then most times I don't. So I'm asking one more time. I'll be back in 2 weeks with the same question. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of those who participated in the public comment or citizens' comments. This brings us to our consent calendar agenda. Are there any items that should be separate or removed from the consent calendar? The chair recognizes Commissioner Jones.
Adopt a resolution supporting the Fresh Start petition. Adopt a resolution approving the appointment to the Communications Relations Committee. And adopt a resolution approving the resignation of the Finance Director.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem C.
Adopt a resolution establishing the millage rate request for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Hearing none, Mr. Manager.
For the consent calendar items, budget ordinance for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, recommendation of Mayor Mahmoud and the Benton Harbor City Commission, approve the annual budget for the City of Benton Harbor for the period of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Second one is budget amendments to the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approve the budget amendments to the fiscal year 2019 general fund budget. Gas Employee Day of Action at Hall Park. Resolution in support of gas manufacturing Employee Day of Action at Hall Park. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission support the Employee Day of Action project by gas manufacturing for Hall Park.
The motion for the approved consent calendar. It's motion made by Commissioner Henderson and was supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad,
Yes.
motion carries.
The first separated item is the ordinance establishing the millage rate for, millage rate request for fiscal year 2019-2020. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton City Commission establish a millage rate of 25.6523 mills for the city of Benton Harbor for the period of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Is there a motion for the approval, to adopt an ordinance establishing a millage rate request for fiscal year 2019-2020?
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton and is supported by Commissioner Henderson. Discussion. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Mayor, through the chair, I don't know who will ask this question to, but concerning these millages, what part of the millages cover the schools? Or is there any part of millages, I know we pay a certain percentage of millages for schools.
Mr. Manager.
Commissioner seats, these are just millages that we levy for the city of Benton Harbor. The millages that are levied for the school district are asked by the school, passed by the school board and asked by them to be collected from each municipality that comprises the school district. So you won't see that on here. These are specifically for the operating millage rates for the city of Benton Harbor, the library, public permanent improvement, the pension, and Dollar Ride. So those are separate, and we collect them on behalf of the school district, and they levy the millage rate that they see fit to operate.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Saying such, I would ask for equalization report. Also, we have a homestead formula, because anytime you levy these many villages, I would definitely want to know what our homestead formula is. And just on a side note, talking to the treasurer, not the treasurer, I'm sorry, for the state, somebody from the state, I don't want everybody calling at once. We're paying for schools in Hager Township, there's none there. Sodas Township, there's none there. Pipestone Township, there's none there. St. Joe Township, there's none there. We have to somehow figure out a way to counteract some of these villages to lessen the burden on the people. I would also ask the city, through the mayor, $630,000 to local streets. When are we gonna start seeing the benefit of that to interact with these potholes? Because, I mean, we said we're gonna set aside a certain amount of money from local streets, set aside a certain amount of money from city income tax, set aside a certain amount of money from here and there. And sad but true, very seldom see us the public works truck anywhere in the city of Benton Harbor. See them more in St. Joe Township, Benton Township. I see them in the city of Benton Harbor. And I would definitely love to see somebody with a patch hole truck like every other municipality surrounding us. As soon as the weather broke, we should have been out there dumping asphalt, sand, or something. So Honorable Mayor, to the city manager, when will we start seeing Operation Pothole repair? Because I lost a rim, lost a tire just last week, and I do got a receipt. But when can we start seeing a relief from the potholes? Because we need to get these people moving. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Manager.
Commissioner seats, the plan for the road asset management plan is on the agenda for the Personnel Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday. Once that is then brought to the City Commission, then that plan will be implemented. As far as pothole patching goes, pothole patching has been going on. But the repair work that we're talking about, the income tax and things of that nature, cannot be done until the city commission passes the plan.
I would ask we amend the agenda tonight.
This is,
I didn't quite hear what the city manager said. Until the commission does what?
The plan, the way the plan was put together, the way the agreement was put together with the city income tax, the city income tax oversight board makes a recommendation to the city commission. The city commission then gets the actual plan and has to approve the plan. So no plan can be done until that has happened.
Now, if I remember, that plan was, there was a plan presented to us, and it wasn't liked very much, but there, you were asked to go out and do something else, and bring some more recommendations back. I believe that happened. So, now where are we?
We're gonna try to do this one at a time. Mr. Manager.
Commissioner Henry, again, the plan that was presented, there was a plan presented to this commission, that is correct. The plan was asked to be, was recommended by the Income Tax Oversight Board. To come to back to the commission, there was never any vote or anything done by that, on that plan. So the recommendation of the income tax doesn't come from me, it comes from the Income Tax Oversight Board. That's what they recommended, was the plan that was presented to the city commission.
Did we approve it?
You haven't seen it yet. You've seen it in presentation, but it has not been formally presented to you to approve it. That has not happened.
Oh.
So, the plan is to be presented to Personnel and Finance at the next meeting, to be vetted by Personnel and Finance Committee, ultimately presented to the full body for approval. But as you know, no streets can have any work done on them until the city council approves those streets and the allocations and the money, et cetera, et cetera. So an outline of plan, as you know, was presented, recommended, now it's up. And the honors is on the city commission to get the cement, the asphalt, get that in the ground. Chair recognizes
I
Commissioner.
have a question. So patchwork has been going on prior to us getting any funding. So this patchwork should have been a part of last year's budget. That should have been going on this year. That had nothing to do with the income tax that was going on right now.
It
So
has
what does that have to
nothing,
do?
the patching has nothing to do with the income.
Yeah, so I guess the questions were, and I heard Commissioner ask, can we get some of those road repairs, some of that work done prior to us? We don't need approval for this particular work because it was already approved last year, for last year's budget. For road work to be done and patchwork to be done on the road.
Not road work.
Not road work, I'm sorry, wrong language, but he understands what I'm saying. I'm saying asphalt. That's what I'm saying.
Again, Commissioner Henderson, there has been patchwork that has been done. There's been patchwork throughout the city. The major road work that needs to be done has not been done because that was the income tax money. So that's what hasn't been done.
And again, that has to be approved by this body. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Didn't, when we had sinkhole, we used some income tax money for some of the emergency?
It was, but it was not income tax money that was used for that.
But, you know, I constantly hear people, and it also didn't happen to me too, I guess it's probably several folks didn't tow up, you know, vehicles and stuff, you know, probably 5 people, you ask 5, 4 of them bent a rim, messed up a tire. This is, you know, some time ago, been in bad shape and it's just getting worse. You know, I think we really at a state of emergency when it comes to our roads. And And somehow, you know, I know you say the patchwork is being done, but maybe it's, not being done in a way that is blasted or not being done fast enough. So is it some type of way that we could look at possibly getting some asphalt company or somebody in here that could probably do it right where the stuff will stay and also do it a lot faster. I know you say we only got 2 or 3 people in public works, so,
Yeah.
but I think we at a point that, you know, we gotta find it to, I'm just afraid that sooner or later somebody's gonna get injured, you know. I don't think that can wait.
So I do want to remind us that I think what we are adopting and is on the discussion is ordinance establishing the millage rate request for the fiscal year 2019-2020. I think this is definitely a worthy discussion. And the Personnel and Finance Committee is coming up when, Mr. Manager?
Wednesday.
This coming Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
So I want to encourage us to have all of our suggestions and questions for the manager and be ready to approve so we can get some work done. Because again, it comes down to a vote by each commissioner on when we're going to start getting these roads fixed with the income tax money. So if it's relative to the millage request rate, then please comment. But I don't want to get into the weeds about, you know, roads. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Are we going to table this item and so we can get the questions asked, answered that we need?
What questions do you need answered?
Well, I have many.
Because this item has to be submitted to the state of Michigan by the 1st of June, well actually by
This
June
solely
30th.
has to do with the taxes, that the income tax dollars that are being.
This has nothing to do with the income tax.
Okay, then my question is, I'm remembering when we entered into a partnership agreement with the, when the school and the overall businesses in the community several years ago brought forth a millage for the schools specifically, and my question then was, if the school happens to close or something, what happens to our dollars? So.
That has nothing to do with.
Okay, but I'm getting there. My question is this an increase in millage or to just leave it levied where it is?
Yes,
Decrease?
this is not an increase in millage.
It's a decrease?
This is a decrease from the original authorized millage. Because of Proposal A and the Henley Act, it rolls back millage rates that are levied in their original state.
Okay,
In order to do it, you would have to have a hearing, a resolution, and then a vote by the people to reinstate it back to the full millage.
Decrease meaning in property taxes?
This is what
Okay,
generates property tax.
now I'm on the right page, okay. I have some clients that wanted questions answered that I couldn't give them because they received their taxes and they had paid their taxes and had been for 3 years straight, and they received a bill for back taxes because school operating costs were not on there, and their understanding about it is zero. And I'd like to get an answer for them if I can.
Mr. Manager?
As it relates, again, Commissioner, as it relates to the school millages that are levied, we have no jurisdiction over it. We have, by Constitution of the State of Michigan, we're required to collect those taxes that they ask us to levy. So if they say levy $5 million, that goes on our ballot.
I get that, but we just had some properties reassessed. Does one thing have anything to do with the other? Nothing has anything to do with the other. Why would, I would hate not knowing that I paid my taxes and I'm not looking and I'm clear that there's no school operating tax on there that I was supposed to pay, and this has gone on for 5 or 6 years, and all of a sudden I get a bill, and I mean, accountability, responsibility, who does that fall on? Because it surely shouldn't fall on that taxpayer that's been paying their taxes.
I would definitely have to see that specific one, because again, whatever we levy is basically what the school districts give us.
Okay.
What RISA give us, what this senior center gives us. So that's what we get. So when you see your millage, when you see the millage rates that are levied on your tax bill, it's close to 50 mills. However, only 25 of them stay here.
Okay.
Madam Clerk,
Commissioner, this is on the actual item. Commissioner Henderson? Yes. Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Mayor Miles?
yes.
Motion carries.
Next item that was separated is appointment to the Communications Public Relations Committee, Jamie Davis. Recommendation that Ben Harbor City Commission appoint Mr. Jamie Davis as a citizen representative to the Communications Public Relations Committee for a 2-year term expiring on June 17, 2021.
Is there a motion to adopt a resolution approving?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. Support. It is supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Is there discussion? The chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
We don't have that many people beat down the doors to come and serve on the city council, communication committee, school board. So we do have people to step up. As we often said in the past, let's give them an opportunity to serve us and serve us well. And if they don't do a good job, then we have a distinguished mayor who knows how to reel them in. So I just hope that the city council will start going out and getting more people to make them interested. And as I was getting some young people out of the community, the crowd, it shows us that we do have a bright future coming for our commission. So I do support the appointment of Mr. Jamie Davis to the Communications Committee. Leaves the bishop too, so. we'll make
Support.
Sure. Any other discussion? I too would like to applaud Mr. Jamie Davis for your desire to serve on the Communications Public Relations Committee. It's a very important committee because communications is very important in our city today. So when this came to my desk, I with great joy forwarded this appointment to the council for their approval. Call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson? Yes. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Miles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is support for the Fresh Start resolution. Recommendation is, I'll read the result resolution part of it. Now therefore be resolved that Honorable Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission support the Fresh Start petition presented to the board by the Peace for Life Youth Ambassador Student Organization, encouraging Governor Gretchen Whitmer to initiate state action to forgive the district's outstanding debt so that our students may reach their potential and achieve academic success. Also, that Honorable Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission ask Governor Whitmer, the Michigan legislator, and the Michigan Board of Education and other state officials to re-examine the Michigan Public School accountability and finance system to ensure that accountability for the district and student success are based on multiple forms of evidence that feature indicators of student support and emphasize strategies that improve student performance, and therefore be it finally resolved that all resolutions in part of resolution insofar as they conflict with the provision of this resolution be, and that the same are hereby rescinded.
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton,
Support.
and it is supported by Commissioner Isom. This brings us to discussion. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seals.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I would do as was suggested, that we change it from petition to resolution. Call a resolution to support the Fresh Start resolution. And I also would concur with the fact that they have the ability to forgive the debt. It was told to us that they do have the ability to forgive the debt, but they want a percentage of the debt, but they want the high school. And so, by somebody opening up and saying, I can do, but you gotta give me, means it's not about children anymore.
That's right.
So, I think that the callousness of our region, our area, the democracy of this Republican hatred for our children, and people come and say they love our kids so much, the only time they love them when it was a charity case. You don't have to love my kid when they down and out, but love them when they going up. And that's been a problem. And so for somebody to say they can forgive, but won't, and what, I'm not beating up the governor. I'm more concerned about our locals, state rep, our Senator Lasada. I'm more concerned about them pushing forth legislation to handicap our school system. Notice they've said nothing. Your local state rep has said nothing. Your senator has said nothing. Your congressman has said nothing. But the weather's speaking. Whirlpool ain't never seen a flood like that down there in that street. Riverboat docks are going higher than they ever been before. Neighborhoods are being swept under by water. The weather's speaking. So you might think you can beat people, but you can't beat God. And I believe it wholeheartedly that God is on these kids' side. And these kids are rallying. And a child should not have to ask for public education. They should not have to come before us and ask us to help them to fight for public education. And yet again, your state rep has not said one word in the paper. Kim Lasada's husband has not wrote anything for her to say in the newspaper. So we need to find our own way, and we need to make sure that we get that to their desk too. Because they're the one presenting the legislation. The Republican Party is the one presenting the legislation. Our governor has said to us, if I can help, we would, but it's not me. It's somebody stronger than me. Who is that stronger than her? It's the one that are pushing the legislation. So don't forget the hidden hand. Because we can beat up the governor to death, we can beat up our office to death, but if these Republicans keep pushing this legislation, because remember this, while this man is trying to open up a school downtown Benton Harbor, he was the same man that pushed forth the legislation to poison Flint water system.
That's right.
So now you want to help us now. He's the same one that put forth the EFM, the language for the legislation, and told Joe Harris as a fact that I'm going to fast track it so we can take them over and you ain't got to worry about them. So please don't, people come in here with all kind of trinkets and gifts and camelback rides and the horse and elephant, and they really thinking about education. They don't mind you dribbling the ball or throwing a football. Whirlpool gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the athletic program. They come in and sweep that ball for Harbor Shores and raise $5 to $6 million in 2 hours. And you can't raise a dime for public education? There's something wrong.
Something wrong.
And we need, as a body, to stick behind what our mayor has said. That if you ain't talking about education, we ain't talking to you about nothing. So I do support you. And I will stand behind this resolution. Thank you.
recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely support this resolution, and I too think that it would not be a problem at all to change it from petition to resolution. You know, my colleague just brought up some very interesting points, and I said it many a times, in order for us to know where we're going, we must remember the future. I have a great appreciation for the young man that's stepping up and getting involved as on one of the committees, because that's where change starts, when you want to step up and be the change that you want to see, be and live in your community. Everything that is made up of policies and legislations and laws. That we are a land of laws, as we are a land of immigrants. And yes, Black lives matter a whole lot to me.
Like education.
You know, when I first got involved, I realized there was a master plan about to take place. And one thing this community needs to do, Benton Harbor residents need to show up when the master planning of your community is going on. Because if you're not, there are others standing, sitting at the tables, making decisions about the plan. And when I first saw it, there was nothing on the high school property. There was nothing there. And I still have the document. I have a document of everything that, since I've been down here for almost 20 years, and I'm throwing stuff away. Anybody want some? I'm serious. I'm just so disheartened, because I've watched all the plays come from Alpashoka, Cornerstone, throughout Brownfield, up to Lansing, position himself and listen to me about why is it that we can't get the proper training that we need in our community, because the only people that seem to be getting paid are the facilitators. Hell, he created himself a facilitating job. Come home, come in for a landing. And put a training center for our youth next door to a liquor store? I don't think so. And we need to do everything we can to detour our youth, as well as young adults with children, from attending it. I remember very well as a young mother what it was like to leave school, have to pick up children, stop by to get a nice cold one, and head home. But that's just too convenient for some people that we are trying to entice to change their minds about some things. We're trying to do a game changer with young minds. The reason I'm involved and care so much about our children is because I want them to be better than me. And I want to put forth change for them to be able to live exactly that. Even if my own don't pay attention. If I can just capture the heart and mind of one or two, I've done my part. But we have got to come together. And that school up there, it sits on a very valuable piece of land. But I've said it once, and I said it when I first got involved and ran for office. We are water worthy too. But we don't love it that much. But if you're loving it that much, it's going to come up even higher. I promise you. On the universe, it's going to come to you. If you want it that bad.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, I'll be real short. Back to the resolution, well, you know, I guess we have to change it from a petition to a resolution.
I think that the language on the calendar, and the clerk can weigh in, has no debilitating impact on the actual resolution that we're approving. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That, you know, hopefully they would think, you know, they remember that the banks was bailed out, the auto industry was bailed out.
Yes, sure was.
Surely they can bail our kids out. So
hopefully they would take that and look at that, especially from the debt that was, a lot of them was incurred during the time it was incurred. So basically, we'll be going back, straightening out what they messed up. So hopefully that they would take that to heart and get this done.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Jones.
The main reason I asked for this one to be pulled, to be reviewed, because a lot of people probably not understanding or not knowing anything about this resolution. And I'm glad it was being heard tonight. If all the same, if it don't really make a difference, I think it still should be changed from petition to resolution to give us some type of authoritative figure, because it was requested by the presenter herself. But if it's all the same, I'd say change it from petition to resolution. But I'm glad it got to be heard tonight and people got the chance to understand what it was all about. And if there's any questions, I think they should direct them towards her. It's a lot more than just about school closing. It's about the kids, period, as well as kids coming through here, as well as other kids in the community, not just here. So, for all the same, change the resolution from petition.
Well, the resolution, I think that
If we look at how it's authored,
it says adopt a resolution supporting the Fresh Start petition, which should say resolution.
right,
That was what was provided to me, so it reflected on the agenda. The actual resolution is what we had. So the wording of the agenda said petition, that's because that's what the resolution said. But we can change it if that's what the will of the commission wants to do.
So would this be changed when we approve the minutes, or how will we change? Because this is what's changed here, right?
Right. It says petition on the agenda. So we could change, in your motion, if you want to change it, the agenda as well, to change it to.
So the agenda would have to be changed.
Yes, it will have to be changed. So we can amend the agenda to reflect petition if that's what the commission wants to do.
I move that we do that.
We should.
Resolution.
The request is to change it to resolution and not petition. Yeah. So that's the will of the commission on how we're going to.
So with that, because it's already a motion on the floor for the resolution itself, which is separate. Right, so the maker of the motion would have to
amend it, and that is Commissioner
amend it.
Singleton. You can just amend it.
Right.
Move that we amend it to say resolution.
The agenda. So the support is from Commissioner Harrelson.
Ready for roll call?
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry,
yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson, yes. Commissioner Jones,
emphatically yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Next item is the resignation of Finance Director. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Office of the Commission accepts the resignation of Finance Director Andrew Clark. Additionally, confidential search shall be conducted to secure Finance Director for the City of Benton Harbor.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
The motion is made by Commissioner Henderson, and it is supported by the Personnel and Finance Chairman, Commissioner Isom. Is there discussion? The Chairman recognizes the Personnel and Finance Chair, Commissioner Isom.
On May 20th, I contacted Andrew Clark again. Andrew Clark has resigned. The city needs a finance director to run our finances. We should have had one yesterday. And we need this. We put in the strain, city manager, we can't do it all. We don't want that. We want a finance director that can run our finances. The time is now. We need that. The man has resigned. He's not coming back. I sent out, everybody got their resignation letter, even on email, so make it happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Isom. The chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I totally agree with my colleague here. However, in in the finance, our ex-finance director's, letter of resignation, he left some very valuable things that I think need to be taken a grave look at, right, in regards to our finances. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I didn't read it and it said what it said. That's right. In regards to our audit. Now, I don't know if we have to go by way of subpoenaing information or whatever, but I'm gonna ask this board to do your job. My vote is to do just that.
The chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I would ask of my beloved constituent, did you record that call? Did you FaceTime them, or you got some receipts, as they say? Because if you don't have no receipts, then what you're saying is pretty much not valid concerning this situation. If we take each other's word for it. I talked to him, and he said he would love to come talk to the commission.
Oh. And I need him to.
So if he's telling you that he's resigned, did you ask him the question, would you like to speak to the commission? That's what the holdup was the last time. Can you come talk to the commission? I understand he's been gone since February 2019, but some of that stuff he wrote in that letter was the same thing that the lady wrote that was before him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't read my Bible that often, but it said out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let everything be established. So that's two people saying the same exact thing. I don't know what kind of relationship they have with each other. I don't even know if he knew the other finance director, but if he stated there was some problems and he stated some state problems, have we been cleared on what the findings was? Have we been cleared on what the issues was that he cited? You know, everything is always word of mouth and not black and white. But then when the state deals with us, they deal in black and white.
That's right.
When the federal government deals with us, they deal in black and white. But then when we deal, we always just talking off the cuff. So I don't mind moving forward for a search. I don't mind. He quit. It's over. We didn't go through this process when the other young lady quit. The other young lady quit and left. We didn't have to go through it. We didn't accept her resignation. So why do we have to do this with him? That's to the chair. We didn't go through this with the last finance director that we hired when she quit. Why do we have to do that with this one?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Seats. You know, I really feel like we're beating the camel. However, he submitted a letter of resignation. I don't need to have a Skype or FaceTime or even his recorded voice. The fact that he has not showed up for work since May is enough for me to say that this resignation is long overdue to be accepted. Now, if there's other issues or inquiries that this body wants to look into, then I think that we do have the power and privilege to do so. But I think what's in front of us now is what's on the agenda, which is adopt a resolution approving the resignation of the finance director. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, we have to respect the guys, better, but we should, also the stuff that's, that's in it, again, just, I don't think I was here when the first one said some of the same things. And I don't know if that one was under the, was that person under the commission? That under state?
Yes, at that particular time, we were still under PA 436, the final order. So she was not a commission employee, and we had nothing to do with the hiring nor the resignation. I do not know if she has submitted a letter of resignation to the RTAB. I think it was just, in this case, just walked off the job.
Just like the last one. So, there is some, there's some issues I think we need to look at, but I do also understand the urgency that we need to get a finance director, but we need to also make sure we get to the bottom of this stuff, so
Yes.
the next person, that we don't have a third person that walk off,
Right.
So, that's my statement.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson, who has been patient.
I agree with my colleague. There are some reasons in this letter that need to be addressed to the citizen, to the commissioner. And the citizen, it owed it to the citizen. Some of this need to be addressed. Whether he come back and do it, whether the city manager do it, or whether the mayor do it. But some of it need to be addressed. I mean, we shouldn't let this just go like it, because he's not here, because there was some allegations made.
Right, and I think that's very, very wise that you use that term allegation. Because all allegations should be looked into to find out the merit. But, when you have.
What?
I think that the ex-husband or the ex-wife would have some valid points, but to what point? I think you have to look at all of that. So, Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. In regards to the allegations that were made, we have paid legal counsel here tonight, and if we have subpoena power, I think that we need to be asking through the chair,
This
city
is
attorney,
not.
what we can possibly do.
Commissioner Adams, this is relative to this resignation.
Okay,
As I stated,
and granted.
if there is further action that the council
Okay.
wants to take, then that has to be separate from what's in front of us here.
Okay, and can we look at that? Can we start that process? Since it costs the citizens every time we email or call our city attorney, it costs, okay, he's here tonight. So I can just I should be able to freely,
You can put a resolution.
or we have a brief discussion on that with this matter, because we just come out of an emergency management, financial emergency management situation that I don't want to sit in this chair and be held responsible by the lynch mob of Benton Harbor. If anything goes wrong with finances again.
So we do have a structure. We have a personnel and finance chairman who is well within his powers to place that on the agenda. And out of that committee, which is proper, any kind of inquiry can be executed.
Thank you, sir.
So Commissioner Henderson,
Is that all for question?
Madam Clerk.
This is on the actual item, Commissioner Jones?
No.
No?
No.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
I wouldn't mind saying yes to this, but there's no other step. I believe that we sit in committee and talked about a RFP and a job application, and nothing's happened. It's just stagnated, and I don't want to approve this unless it says the next step, which would be
Yeah.
to put the search out.
Yeah.
So if we don't get a amendment,
Then a motion.
if we don't get an amendment, my vote, I'm asking for amendment.
The vote has already been called, Commissioner. It's already been called. It's a yes or no.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
No.
Commissioner Adams.
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to staff.
Mayor, I have one other thing. I'd like to put a resolution before to put an RFP out for a finance director. I'd like to put a resolution on the floor.
That's right. Can't bring that to the floor like this.
Again, we didn't amend our council rules. So because we did not do that, I can't bring a motion to the floor to recommend that we put an RFP, a search out for our new personnel.
Okay, hold on, hold on, boys.
Based on the last council rules, Commissioner Henderson,
I can bring a resolution to the floor.
not
Nothing was changed.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So
Exactly.
Nothing was changed, so I can
And
bring
under
a
the-
resolution to the floor.
under the last council rules,
Nothing was changed, so I can bring a resolution to the floor.
the change was to,
Recommending the
man, I
hiring
don't know.
of
no, no,
the
no, the
personnel and
change,
finance
the
director.
change, I know where you're going, but the change was
No change.
No
to
change, so. because-
bring things from the floor.
No, those council rules had a lot of other things.
But it was
embedded in
never
those.
brought before the
Point of
council.
order,
to-
that's what changed. Do this right.
But I believe it's in the
Don't
resolution, right?
feel good either.
I don't know, with all due respect, can I read that real
Robert's
quick?
Rules of Order.
I already read it, but I'm just dealing with,
According to Robert's
Can
Rules of Order.
I just bring that real quick, Honorable Mayor?
Same
Hey,
right.
it's too many of y'all talking at the same time.
point of order. In the resolution, it says that an RFP will be put out with Mr. Anderson.
It said RFP, it said comprehensive service.
Right, not an RFP.
Same difference. But they do, they are the same.
So, thank you, Commissioner Henderson, for your input. This brings us to staff comments. Staff comments. Chair recognizes Director McGinnis.
Next 2 weeks. Back 2 weeks.
Honorable
Chair
Mayor,
recognizes.
Commissioners, I'm a little confused. Good afternoon, evening. I don't have a whole lot other than a couple things. One, we started our cleanup. I don't know, for those who have seen Ross and Brunson, some other areas, as far as collecting junk, getting that collected, that's going very well. Our app is out, which I very pleased with. We are the first agency around here, at least I'm not sure if it's for the whole state, to have our own app, Tip 411. That came out Friday. Unfortunately, I have to accept responsibility for bad timing because I totally forgot about the school district's vote. I thought it was actually this Friday or this week. So we want to help me get the word out on that. But it's, if you go to your app store, either iPhone or Android, it's Benton Harbor DTS. That is basically a pipeline to us for any tips. Actually, we got a tip the first hour about speeding in a certain area. Very pleased with that. So that's another thing that citizens said they would want to communicate with us, but not necessarily have to be kind of put on Front Street. That's a mechanism to do that. Mr. Hoyer, you can't get in that because I got one now. You got to get something else. I was very, very pleased with the Juneteenth celebration for the first time. I hope that there's some impetus to go with that. I would actually humbly ask that if we could, the Ben Harbor Department of Public Safety could be part of that, as well as we do the Peace Walk every year. Make that one of the official things that we do for the public safety. National Night Out, which is we founded, which we had over 1,000 people came last year. Peace Walk and Juneteenth. I think those things are tremendous things for the community. They're well received, and I would like to have those as some of our centerpieces for our outreach. That's all I have right now, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners.
Thank you. Chair recognizes City Assessor Story.
Thank you. I'd just like to let everybody know that our field inspections have begun for the summer. So 20% of the properties will be visited and looked at, the record cards updated if needed. So just be aware that there is somebody out there doing that. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call me. Thank you.
Chair recognizes City Attorney Turner.
No report, Your Honor, thank you.
Chair recognizes Community Development Director and Economic Development Director, Ms. Jennings.
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, Commissioners, and everyone present. The Community and Economic Development Department is currently undergoing the 2019 Annual Action Plan process in regards to the Community Development Block Grant dollars. We have received our allocation, and now our charge is to put together our plan. We had a special hearing last week on the 13th to kick off this process, and are embarking upon our 30-day public comment period, which will run June 20th through July 20th. A copy of that annual action plan is available for public viewing and review in the Community and Economic Development Office. We will also have a second special hearing during the July Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting, and hopefully we'll have public comment, and we'll have a plan ready for the body's review and approval the first meeting in August.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our City Clerk, who recently has been certified and recognized by the state of Michigan. Is that correct?
Yes.
As a certified. She went through all of the classes, and so I want to thank you, and hopefully we can at some point. I know the Bridgman, I believe it was, City Clerk, got the Clerk of the Year. But I think you do a lot for our community, so I would be happy to support that. Clerk Thompson.
The clerk's office is working on making preparations for the August primary election. I'll have some announcements and deadlines of what's coming in the next couple of weeks.
The chair recognizes the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick things. I know Mrs. Yarborough isn't here, but I know she would have mentioned that coming up this Sunday, that the final Coming Home, Coming Together concert will be held out here at the Dwight P. Mitchell City Center. Again, it's the last one. I think it's 20 plus years this event has been going on. It's been a summer staple for the last couple decades. Reverend McCoy, you talk about the signing of the streets. We have had, again, Clerk Thompson just got her accolades, so I'm going to give her some more. What we've been doing is we've been pulling all of the actual sign ordinances that were passed by the commission, because there is no cohesive, comprehensive list of them to say where no parking exists in the city of Ben Harbor. So that if there is some place that needs to be addressed, we need to add it to, or just say here, we're enforcing it because it's already on the books. So that's the signage part of it. The tire collection that we had a couple weeks ago, we got contacted by Berrien County to let us know that we can get some more trailers for more tires. So, I know, Director McGinnis is over there literally about to jump out of his seat to go get them, but, yeah, they are going to give us additional trailers at no cost to the community or to the city for the purposes of getting those, the tires. The city did receive an energy audit grant that we will be bringing, to the city commission for acceptance, and basically what it's going to do is allow us to do a energy audit, pay for it, and then also if there's monies left over from it, then implement some of those energy recommendations. To Commissioner Seats' point, the water is very, very high, and we have been dealing with issues where wetlands are flooding, streets are flooding. We've been in contact with Berrien County regarding the emergency preparedness, because if you go down Riverview and go across the little part where the canal is, it literally is at the bank. And we are looking at ways to do that, because we're supposed to get another heavy rain Wednesday and Thursday. And if that happens, there may be an issue where we have to close off certain parts of the street system. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thanks, citizens, for coming out. Just like to give some accolades for this weekend, busy weekend, to the Juneteenth committee. They did an awesome job. It goes back to that thing I used to say about a lot can get done if no one cares who gets the credit. So to sit there and watch that committee work along with some people that joined that committee, it was just awesome. They pulled it off. The weather was threatening us for a few days, and it was still, I guess God said, hey, they did all that work, let's hold off, and it was just awesome to see those kids out there, people from all over the place. Even I think it was a group from Kalamazoo, some kids that did an awesome job. It was just wonderful, and I like to see that continue to be an annual thing. I didn't get a chance to see the people's faces coming down Broadway, but I bet, that probably was awesome too, to see a parade go down Broadway, so it was definitely a event that I think is going to get bigger and bigger. So I'm already looking forward to next year. My wife and a couple of kids was out seeing some of my in-laws. The vendors came out. It was just awesome. So looking forward already for next year. We got a whole lot of work, to do. There's a lot of things going on with our city, with our schools. It's a whole lot of work, and it's going to take everybody's input, everybody's hand, everybody on deck to get these things done. So let's just keep at it. Don't give up, because once you give up, that's it. So we're gonna keep on going until we can't go no more.
Thank you, Commissioner Singleton. The chair recognizes Commissioner Arson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens coming out tonight, voicing your concerns, comments. Tonight, the Juneteenth was a success. It was good. Me and my wife, we didn't walk in or nothing like that, but we parked our truck and watched the kids come down dancing, and I think some people jumped in there dancing. It was very nice. It was nice. It's a start, It's a start. It was good. Good, all good. Anything you can do that can bring the community together. Kids, people from here and there, to bring it together. I can watch the city as sometimes you got to go through something, in life. You go through something rough or struggle, but then sometimes you just come all together. You got to go through something to get where you're going. I'm sure all of us have had some kind of struggle in our life. It's been hard as there, but right now it's coming together as a whole. Even a fresh start resolution, that's something. That's something. the peace walk. That's something. People Ben Harbor come together. You look around when I was at Juneteenth, this. Yeah, it's all right. People walking and seeing people and pictures and police chief walking around and Singleton got a thing on. All that. You just decked out. That's what it's all about. You know, smiling, no, nothing bad. You know, kids dancing, little Statue of Liberty thing. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, and with this thing with Mr. Clark, he resigned. I'm gonna do my best to find that's Personnel and Finance Committee. These commissioners here, we're going to find the best finance director we need and look into the allegations that was on the resignation letter. But we need a finance director to help run this city. And that's what I'm concerned about, to run our city, to spend your money, our taxes. That's important, just as important as a city manager job. A finance director is very important for the city. You know, I just thank God for just being involved with the city and just, I can see it happen, you know, one pothole at a time. God bless you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I want to thank the residents for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedules to come and find out what's going on in your community and how it's affecting you. It was a wonderful weekend. It was wonderful to be behind the scenes, just helping out, just doing something to make sure that it was as successful as possible. You know, you kind of like reminded me when I first came down and got involved at Miss Bethay and her little organization going on and how her health fair just turned out to be, and I hate that her children didn't keep it up, but maybe they'll rebirth her. But that's what I see with Juneteenth. And just to think it was something that's going on all over the country in celebration and in honor of freedom. Broken chains. Less lynching. I no more lynching, but anyway. When something else happened over the weekend, and I thought about Juneteenth as I was watching it on TV, and it was these beautiful 3 young black ladies with their hidden figures, and they were honored. They were honored a street, and I'm like, that's something that I would really like to take a look at and hope that I can get my colleagues here to look at it as well. To actually give Broadway a refurbishing. Hidden Figures Broadway. Because there were some hidden figures coming down Broadway that we can actually start anew. Start our own historical thing. That's what I hope for Ben Harbor and the children that's coming behind us. There's been a lot of recalls on various things, and one was Ragu tomato paste. And I think about Fresh Start's Children Garden. And I love what Miss Kennard is doing, and everything is growing. The rain is doing some other wonderful things too. Besides flooding, I mean, that's not wonderful, but sometimes we act out, Mother Nature act up. So I suggest start building your arcs. So we don't know if it's going to stop or not. But to get to the point to where we can get back to old canning and teaching the younger children how to do stuff just like that, because I don't know if it's the soil, I don't know if it's how they're processing stuff, or just uncleanliness that's causing grave illnesses and all this recall. You can see, my grandmother, I come up in a family that used to do their own canning. And peaches with hot peaches and biscuits was a meal. I mean, hey, I'm serious, but we need to get back to that type of thing. And we'll probably have less illnesses. And this is pretty much it. I'm grateful today. I'm grateful today my family is going through some a little rough patches, you know, loss of life happens, and it's happening from here to Detroit. But I ask the community just lift my family up in prayer and just know that it's going to be okay because we all have to go that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens for coming out, seeing the government in action on tonight. I have a question about the water. Where are we with the lead in the water? Do we still have lead in the water? And the filters, seemed like you said something about when the light turned red, that means that it's in danger. Are they supposed to get new filters, or do they? I just want to know.
Manager Hill, get what you got.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
That would be something that sounds like the people want to hear. Yes. It wouldn't be something that we just talk about it behind closed doors. So I would suggest that when he has his opportunity to say something, that he tells the general public, because this is being recorded on YouTube. So they'll be able to hear that information about the water. I want to say something about the annual community block grant plan. We had a public hearing. At the same time, we had a special meeting. And so now there's a time frame when you have able to submit something about your money. And when I say your money, that I'm saying that's the only money that the city has that actually belongs to the citizen. General fund don't belong to the citizen. We have to use that money for services. But your community block grant money is your money to make something happen for you. So I would suggest to our director of in community development to make sure that that annual plan is in the library, on the website, Facebook, wherever they can put it. Because I can see the residents being knowledgeable now and knowing that they have an opportunity and a right and a responsible way to get this money to make it work for them. Because in the past, it hasn't. And now, we need to really buckle down and make sure that money is being used for the citizens' in betterment, lifestyle improvement. A lot of things that little money can be used for, that it's being used for now that we get no benefit out of it. So I would just ask that we get it out in any way that we can to let the people see the plan and have an opportunity to have an input in it. Then my next question is, I get all this information. I have to apologize because my email goes down every 3 weeks and I don't get a chance to give a new password, so I haven't had a chance to look at this information. But I saw that we paid for some bikes a long time ago for the police department. And I want to ask, when do you ride the bikes? Sure. We got some really nice bikes. And for years now. So I see a repair bill, but I would like to know when you ride the bikes and where you ride the bikes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. I had to agree with Commissioner Singleton. It has been quite eventful these past few weeks, especially for me. It started for me last month. I got to witness a Benton Harbor native in Columbus, Ohio, dedicating his life to bettering humanity. And the irony of that day was the 21st of May, where I gave a report here in the commission last year of an incident that have yet to be handled or even discussed. And it's also ironic that we mentioned in the 411 app where people can make anonymous tips, where I'm the one that like to make reports straight off the bat. So I want to make sure, and also making sure me stating this before the commission, that we so quick to point our fingers on people, and now we got allegations that we need to be looking into a little more deep and handle it. Since our word of transparency is thrown around here like prophylactics, maybe we need to adhere to what we must be doing in the first place. So, happy anniversary to what we need to be doing. But on top of that, I'd like to thank Ms. Swangan for holding me to my word. I made it to the Juneteenth celebration.
That's good.
A lot of people never understood what that Juneteenth thing really means. It was never really celebrated up this way. That was mostly a Southern thing. And the history behind that is very deep for those that really, really celebrated that. And I have my own personal views about that throughout my travels and everything. And I appreciated it. I appreciate being there that day. I appreciate her holding me to my word. And it's needed here. I believe it's needed here because a lot of people don't know who they are personally. They need to get to know themselves, get to know their environment, get to know their family lineage and whatnot, so they can be more productive out here. And that could be as well said to our adults here. And see how I ironically just fall into the happenings with the education system. I also like to thank Ms. Eleanor Green for holding me to my word. I showed up for the Peace Walk, or Peace Life rather, Peace Life Walk. And I got to run into a couple of people that I needed to meet, and some people I haven't seen in a good while. So it's been quite eventful for me. But again, while we smile and cajole, we like to point fingers and make allegations amongst ourselves. But when it really comes down to lay down the real work, we want to sweep it under the rug. So I think we need to go ahead and handle that business. And again, May 21st last year, 2018, the report before this commission, this app, and I have yet to receive an update on Operation Mayberry. And I'm sure the commission hasn't received one yet. So I'd like for everyone to receive that report, update.
Every single month.
You gotta read it.
You gotta read it.
I need to read that.
Are you,
Every month.
are you finished, Commissioner Jones?
I can't, how much time I got?
29 seconds.
Yeah, okay. I need an update.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just like to thank the citizens for coming out tonight, and just a congratulatory remarks to our city clerk for her achievements. She does a yeoman's job each week, and since I've been on this commission, so congratulations on that. And also to everybody who participated with the Juneteenth celebration. Thank you for all the hard work that you put in to that event, because when you start organizing something and being a part of something, it is putting in your time, and it was a great celebration. So thank everybody that participated in that. Just want to put this on the city commissioner's radar. We need to hire a personnel and finance director, and it's imperative that we do so immediately. We're saying we're putting a search out. That search needs and has to go out. There are key positions that are not filled in the city that we need to have filled, and hopefully this will be the start of it. And so in 30 days, hopefully that we'll have somebody in those in that particular key position. But there's others that need to be filled in. So this one is one that we need to get on top of and make sure that is filled. Just wanted to make a comment about the resolutions on the floor that I wanted to put on there. Tried to pass council rules in regards to being able to do this, but according to the Robert's Rules of Order, you should be able to put a resolution on the floor and this commission approve it or not approve it based on Robert's Rules of Orders. but that is just going to say we put things on committee agendas and put things to be moved forward when he gets here. It's not supported for whatever reason, and we keep going around this wheel. At some point, we need to stop doing that, and as Commissioner Jones talked about, and make things happen. We just can't do stuff in committee, and then it comes here, and then there's no action put into those things that we put work into talking about and doing in those particular committees. So again, thank everybody for coming out and hearing what's happening in the city. There are other key positions as well that on boards that need to be filled in the city, but also in the county, that people from Benton Harbor need to look at and get involved in. So if you are not, that's something to look at. Congratulations to Mr. Jamie for Mr. Davis for being getting involved and being selected and wanting to be a part of that process. So thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mayor Pro
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, to the city residents and to our constituents here. Thank you. This has been a long 2 weeks of Benton Harbor stand-up politics. A lot has been going on. I'm watching, again, the hidden hands that are portraying that they love you, but then they really hate you. And I ain't watching, and I'm going to say this, and I hope it's not offense taken, but sometimes even our media can become poisonous to the agenda that goes on into Benton Harbor. When there's a fight that happens in Benton Harbor, it's publicized and it's scrutinized. But then we have a kid that says kill all niggas, eliminate the black race. You don't read it one time in the paper. Got a kid who brought a gun to school that was verified and was expelled. Didn't see it not one time in the paper, no on the radio, nowhere. But it was verified that it happened. You know, but then when Benton Harbor has any situation, you see it polarized, or you see it all over the place to show them that we really don't need what we're fighting for. So it behooves us that we begin not only to, that's what happened to Martin Luther King. It wasn't the fact where he was marching to, it was where he was marching from. And I believe we can boycott any industry or shut any industry down that we want to. If we decide not to shop at one place, if we all decide not to go there, we can do it. And I just ask that you start boycotting people that don't support you. I want to commend Ms. Kennard for always working so hard. I still ain't got my plant yet. That's why I'm probably didn't show up. I mean, these guys got some real big green plants at their house too. I ain't got one green plant at the house. So I'm waiting on Ms. Kennard to provide that. What was the last one you got? Blueberry? What kind of plant it was, but the last, got a nice, very nice plant that you gave the last time. So next time, Mr. Kennard, we think about getting a plant. Give me one. I want to just commend the body for this hard work that we're putting forth, and to Chief McGinnis. You're doing a good job. I have to say that publicly. I know a lot of times, you know, I'm one of the main one that twists his arm and throw him down and put me in his back. But you're doing a good job, man, and I'm noticing it more and more throughout the community. I hate the fact that our officers sometimes feel like they have to go somewhere else to become greater or better, and I hate the fact that people recruit from our department, and hopefully we can do something in the future for those who live in the Benton Harbor, give them a raise or give them some kind of incentive to stay in Benton Harbor, because we do need good police officers. Clincy retired, Clincy Cowles retired, who was a phenomenal officer in the city of Benton Harbor, who gave his life pretty much to stay here in Benton Harbor. There's many others who have just been a police officer here, which we should take care of those who don't mind taking care of us. Lastly, I would say to my constituents, keep your eyes open. Don't fall asleep.
Amen.
The biggest problem is a lot of people shucking money around and think that you're too ignorant to realize that the money is coming in and going other places. But I do concur with my mayor Mayor said, if you ain't talking about education, don't ask us for nothing. Because we are not lacking with recreation. If I can borrow 10 seconds, Mayor. We're not lacking with recreation in the city of Benton Harbor. We're lacking education. So quit allowing people to say, I want to come give you a park, I want to come give you some swing, I want to come give you a basketball run, I want to come give you a field, I want to come give you... If you're not giving us education, we have never suffered from recreation. We create our own. So the game is over. Let's move forward.
That's right.
Remember these words. If you're not talking education, you don't need to talk to the city of Benton Harbor. We're done with that. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, for your time.
Thank you. Seats. Would like to commend all of those participants in the Juneteenth celebration. I would also encourage people to read the Emancipation Proclamation in its entirety, which activated the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. I also would encourage you to study the Compromise of 1877, which nullified them. But that's a whole nother conversation. The state of Michigan announced that they, throughout the investigation of the Flint water scandal crisis, and they spent over $20 million. And they plan to restart the investigation, which could cost another 20, 30 million, which could add up to 50 million. And we're talking about 18 million. The state of Michigan also spends more money on the incarceration budget than they spend on the education budget. And when you're spending more money to incarcerate, or you're spending less money to educate, then it's only a response that now you have to spend money to incarcerate. So I think that the state legislator needs to look at their priorities as they're looking at the budget now and try to find less money to incarcerate and find more money to educate. And then we won't have to deal with many of the issues that we see. 7 other schools are also on the bubble, as they would say in the NCAA tournament, because they also are dealing with issues of what is called financial distress. I am pleased that the Detroit Caucus voted to support Benton Harbor High School and Benton Harbor area schools, where they came out overwhelmingly in support to say that it would be a travesty of justice to have Benton Harbor High School shut down, the only high school in the city of Benton Harbor. I also like to commend the students who were interviewed by the New York Times, a Sunday edition. Greg Hill, who was Mr. Benton Harbor, also homecoming king. He said that the proposal from Governor Whitmer was educational genocide. And that's coming from a high school senior who the statistics say is not ready for college. But he said his goal is to go off to college, become a history teacher, and come back and be a teacher in Benton Harbor area schools at Benton Harbor High School. But they represented as scholars and ambassadors, so I would encourage you to go and read the New York Times Sunday edition. I'd like to also thank the community for coming together despite differences for the common goal to save our flagship educational institution, Benton Harbor High School, because it will take us working together to see that fulfilled. In terms of persons who want to invest in the city of Benton Harbor, we encourage investment, but the greatest development and the greatest investment is in our students. So we do want to know where you stand on that. We do have a closed session, so I'd like to make a motion to enter into recess.
Make a motion to enter into recess.
Support.
Thank you, Mayor.
For evaluation of the city manager.
It was made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Yes. Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams. Yes. Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.